Hi, this is Dutkiewicz. Friday, we've made it to the end of the week. I can't believe that we made it this far. Hopefully, everything is going right and you can hear this going out to you. We had some problems on Wednesday and Thursday. For some reason, the settings on my phone decided that they wanted to be only to me. I was sharing my great nuggets of information that I wanted to pass along to you, and it was only coming to me. Oh, I couldn't see on the phone that it was only public or private. Oh, I hope you take a look at them. There's some wonderful things on Wednesday and Thursday videos, as well as the whole week. But I wanted to bring it all together because today is what? It's a happy new day. It's a happy new significant day. And you have the start of something that will launch you into the weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about what I call break it. And I hope you find something of value but in that to help you in your journey and where you are at. So I was thinking back about, it was about 3 years ago. And no, it was 2 years ago, excuse me, 2 years ago. And we're challenging ourselves to think beyond. We had just gone through Think and Grow Rich and an 8-week course thinking into what's our desire and what are the things that we have within ourselves that we're holding back on. Why aren't we accomplishing what we want? Hi Lisa, hi Lee, great you could join me. And in Think and Grow Rich, it's a great study to help learn the lessons of the titans, of the business titans. Yes, there are, from 50, 60, 70 years ago that things were learned. Napoleon Hill took a 20-year study because Dale Carnegie said we need to be able to take what's being successful and help people understand how to be successful in their lives. And it comes down to a thought. It comes down to what is it that we want to think about? What is it that's important to us? What do we want to achieve in life? And sometimes we just let daily life go by. And the scope of that was to help us figure out what's that desire? How are we going to be persistent? And then, what are the other aspects of it? Why do we do what we do? Why do we think the way we do? Why do we hold ourselves back? And, sometimes we choke up our collar and we just say, we're going to put our protection on because we don't want to put risk out there. We don't want ourselves to take on anything that looks risky because we want to be safe. We want to be in our comfort zone. We want to not put ourselves out where we have to talk with people. We're becoming more and more of a society that loves to deal with the cell phone and computer and just doing things remotely. Now we're not afraid to even go to the grocery store. We want to have Amazon drop those groceries at us. And yes, it's great because that service allows us not have to drive, 10, 15, 20 minutes and then go shopping for an hour and, spend time trying to figure out and you could be doing something else. So it could save us some time. But how many times have we ran into a friend at the grocery store and we've had the best conversation that we ever had? Well, it's the same way with our thoughts at work, in our families, that we just go and we hide behind the technology, or we are running here, running there. We never have time to talk and discuss and really perfect this idea that we are better, that we want something better. As a family, we want something better. And we need to be able to sit around the table or in comfy chairs, whatever, and just kick back and just allow our barriers to come down and be able to talk through a great idea. As we go through that time period, though, we come to, we all weigh in, and if we're really open to it, We have a better idea of, or a better vision of what we want. It could be the vacation that we always wanted. It could be a child. We're really going to get serious about having a child, and we really need to talk through, what does that mean? What's the impact to our lives? How do we see this child coming into our lives, and what are we going to do with it? It could be, a grandchild. It could be something in our lives that we see injustice in our community, and we want to make a difference in that. And we want to put our foot down and say, this point and no further. We want to correct what's going on. And sometimes that really powers up. When we take a look at Zappos and their ability to, you buy a pair of shoes and they donate a pair of shoes to help someone who couldn't afford a pair of shoes. Those are great social projects that require more than just one person, and we need others to come in alongside us. As we talk through that idea, then we go and get it out, and then we start living it. If we're doing it right, we go and live it. We talked about this in the last couple of days. And then yesterday I was talking about, the one key that you still need is to be able to talk with your skeptics. So if you have your family or you have your business team on board, or your superiors, your hierarchy at work on board, and they're all happy about it and they're all signed off on it, what's still happening? There's a group of people that are going to be disinterested. They're going to say, oh, this will never work. This is not going to happen. I know in my years in banking, 30 years in banking, there were many projects where we had a bunch of people in the same department that said, no, it's not going to work. No, this is dumb. This is really a stupid idea. Who are they to think that they're going to do this? And what is it? It's impacting me. I have to do it. Well, we've got to take the hammer here and break it. We got to stop it. But we can't do it with a hammer, because all the hammer is going to do is distribute the hatred, the anger, the frustration, the discontent. We have to reach out and be able to say, okay, I understand you have some differences of opinion. Let's talk, and let's sit down and talk about, here's what we want to do. Here's why we're doing it. This is what will accomplish. This is how it's going to impact you. Do you see any barriers? Do you see anything else that we're not seeing? That's how you make an idea even better. I was just reading, I was called back to this book, and it's been in my library for over 3 years, just sitting on the shelf a little bit. I've read a few pages, you might see some highlighting here, but it's The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And in this book, it goes into a lot of what we think. It's nothing rocket science, but it brings it together. There's many methods out there that we don't even know about, of how the subconscious mind, if you tell it what you want, so that dream vacation, that new job, that, changing the world in your community because you want to make a difference today, taking those intentional steps, you have to instruct your mind. You have to say, this point and no further. I'm going to act. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to make a change in what I'm doing. Our subconscious mind has the ability, because of our past, because of our experiences, because of people in our past who have said, no, you can't do that. Or if you do this, you're going to have that. Or we have unresolved experiences. We said that earlier this week. We talked about yes and no. And sometimes when that no comes up on any experience, it needs additional work, and we need to resolve it. It's like a car. Maybe not so much nowadays, but if you remember back, especially from us who are in the Midwest, you get lots of salt during the wintertime. And the cars used to rust out. And what happened? We didn't know that there was the car rusting out, did we? until it came out to the surface. It was rusting underneath, and then finally it came out and there it was, a big rust spot. Oh, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's that in our lives. It really is. It's simply there's some kind of rust in our mind. There's some point that we haven't resolved. And it manifests itself in changing ways until the point that we sit down and address it. This is fantastic. The only way to break it, the only way to stop it, you can't use a hammer against your head, but you have to think into, what is it that I am recognizing in my life? Why is this happening? I just witnessed on Facebook yesterday, somebody was reporting about a family member that developed cancer and had really some bad things happening to them. Life happens, right? And they put down the statement that so many of us use. Why do these bad things happen to good people? Well, it's only bad because we're putting a perception on it, but it's really our subconscious mind and our environment, what we've eaten, what we've ingested, whether it's words, whether it's objects, whether it's food. Hi, DeAndre. Glad you could make it. Hi, Michelle. I'm glad you could make it. We're talking about, what are we telling our minds? Whether we're happy with a little smiley nose and we're saying to our minds, we're happy. We're reinforcing the happiness. We can't make happiness happen unless we feel it, unless we're telling ourselves, I'm happy. And it's the same thing. If we're eating something bad, what's going to happen? You're probably going to get an upset stomach. Well, there's other ramifications of eating, food that's not good for you. And we see that in our bodies, can only process it in a certain way. But if our minds are not fertile, or if our minds are not happy and healthy and, ready for experiencing life, we're going to be suffering. We're going to feel isolated, alone. I know this from my own experience. For 3 years before I left the corporate job world, I was miserable. I was working hard. I couldn't understand why it was being what it was. And here I'm a leader in an executive position. Why is this not working? Why? I was beating myself up night and day. How can I change this? Well, there's some things I didn't do, but I didn't look inside and said, wait a minute, what do I got to do? I got to stop this. I got to break this. I got to break this train of thought. And then go from there. Where am I at? Assess the current situation. Figure out, how can I do things differently? And if I don't really know, then I need to share. I need to go out to my mentor or go out to my inner circle and say, this is what I'm facing. This is what I see. Help me understand it. Help me dig in deeper. If you just practice, if I just practice this 1% more effective today when I'm faced with that, by saying stop, let's stop, let's calm down, and then open up and say objectively, I find this interesting. Every time I do this, I recognize this result. And it could be every time I eat Mexican, tacos. Let's just say tacos, right? I don't want to pick on Mexican. I don't want to pick on any particular class of people, food groups that are associated with people. It's just sometimes when I eat tacos, I'm not feeling well afterwards. And it's not probably because of the food, it's because how fast I'm eating it, for instance. It's just the fact that I am going through and eating real fast. I used to do this at work all the time. I took the 11:30 shift, and sometimes my lunch was only half an hour. And by the time you go and get your lunch and, get your drink and, sit down either at your desk or at a table in the cafeteria, then you just because you got a 10-minute walk back, you have to use the restroom, you have to get ready for getting back to work. And do that enough days, and what do you feel? You feel bad at lunch or right after lunch because you've pushed down all this food fast, 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 fast. You don't taste it at all. You just know that you need energy because you're feeling low. You ate 4 hours ago, and now it's time to eat. And if you don't eat now, you'll not eat till 5 or 5:30 or whenever you get off work. And then you're going to feel bad because you've wasted the whole day and you haven't eaten right. And maybe you pop another soda. And how many Mountain Dews can you eat in a day? Well, it looks like if you're a teen, it's not good, because if you have a Diet Mountain Dew, a McDonald's latte, and an energy drink, you can put too much caffeine in a 2-hour period. If you do all that within a 2-hour period, you can die. That's what it says. That's what just was out in the news. You can die because you have too much caffeine intake. So what translate that to any other meal? If you only have 10 minutes to eat and you shove all that food down, what's going to happen? You're not going to feel well. Your mind starts manifesting a difference in your body, and it's then leads to other things like stomach ulcers. So let's think about how to stop, calm down, take a look at the objective. And if you have no one to talk to, here's an idea that I got out of the Power of the Subconscious Mind. I thought it was a great one. Visualize talking with someone and role play that through. So if, have a conversation with yourself, but visualize having a conversation. What would you say if you had a problem and you needed someone to talk with? And, they say that this example was for an investor helping his clients, get the most performance out of their stocks. And he needed to practice what would he say to the clients of, what they should be doing. And he's visualizing what they would say back. So why not? Let's take this idea of sitting down with yourself, and, maybe you want to have some quiet space so that you can effectively do this without people looking at you like you're talking to yourself. Or at least maybe you hold up your phone and people think that, oh, he's just, FaceTiming himself with someone, or, talking, Skyping someone across the world. And just have that conversation. And what is coming through your mind as you're holding that conversation? Observe those comments. Observe what's coming through. What words are you saying? What questions you would raise if you were in that person's, somebody came to you with that problem. What would you say back? How would you help them? Help yourself. This is great. This is really fantastic stuff. We're going to talk more about this level of thinking beyond. We don't do enough of it, and it really affects our daily life. And we can have a better relationship with ourselves. We need to have a better relationship with ourselves before we can really enter a conversation with another person. And think through ideas, help them think through thoughts, to raise them up, to make them better, to make them more effective, to have a greater reach and a better solution. Getting to the apex of that result in your business is because you have a conversation with like-minded people, also people that have a different point of view. Get that diversity of perspective on your idea and then carry it forward. It's really a fun thing. And then celebrate. Celebrate the idea, celebrate the solution, celebrate the fact that it's going to be a difference in the world. Make a difference today. Make a difference this weekend. Talk with people and have good conversations with yourself, most importantly. The big me, the subconscious, the power of infiniteness that you have within you. You have no limitations.